I have an idea. Why don't people get paid for their commutes? Why don't people get paid enough to pay rent by themselves, right? Why don't people get paid enough to have groceries? Why don't people get paid a living wage? Now, I might sound like a broken record, but I'll give you my personal example. I'm 29 years old, 28 right now. I'm thinking in the future. But the most I've ever made in a year was $18,000. I've been living in this RV for a few months now, but up until then, uh, up until 28 years old, I have not been able to afford a place to live by myself. I can't even afford a car payment anymore. Um, I'm not the only one struggling. Check this video out.
I was in the store the other day and I heard some older people saying, nobody wants to work nowadays. And I was about to lose my composure in that moment, but then I remembered I could just do it online. And what frustrates me about that statement is that people forget it costs money to go to work. I have to put gas in my car. I have to physically have a car, and then I have to get a car insurance. God forbid I get a flat tire because car maintenance is expensive. Okay, I have to get oil changes every 3 months. And then on top of this, I have to buy soap to clean myself. I have to buy laundry detergent to wash my clothes. I have to put on deodorant just to go to the job and meet their hygiene standards. Just to do that. And it's insane that y'all are saying people don't want to work. How does it make sense for me to go to a job that doesn't pay me enough money to offset the cost I have to pay simply to get there and be there in a presentable state, and then not have enough money to pay the bills that I've incurred, partly because I have to have a car to get here? No, this makes no sense. It's not that people don't want to work, and Zohran Mamdani has proven that. In New York City, when they had all that snow, he said, hey, y'all, here's $30 an hour to come shovel some snow. People came out the woodwork, young, old, middle-aged, didn't matter. People was there. Men, women, all of the above. People came out to get that $30. So I think it's pretty clear. People don't mind doing work when they're getting paid money, the right money for it. Okay, I'll come out. That's good money. The reason why people don't want to work is because they don't want to work to just continue to be broke. It makes no sense. I need to be making a wage that makes sense for the expenses I have and the expense of getting to work. And until I think we all start coming to terms with that reality, these millionaires are going to continue to run everything into the ground. And I'm hearing this rumor that the millionaires want to fire everybody. It's not like they even just want AI. They actually want to fire everybody so that when everybody's desperate, they can hire them back for less money. Baby, that's not going to work. Nobody's going to come back. It won't make sense. Oh, I'm desperate for money. It would cost me my entire paycheck just to get to work, not even pay my bills. So what would be the point of that job? I'm telling you, just because they're millionaires does not mean they are smart.
People in their 20s, people in their 30s, people of all ages are suffering. It's not just me. Check this other video out.
The cost of living is so high, our economy is so bad, and the job market is so bad, to the point where if you don't have a roommate, a significant other, live with your parents, or are on government aid, you are genuinely just cooked. Like, I live in Iowa. My groceries for like a week and a half used to be around $80. It is at least $120 now, depending on what I want to eat. Like, I am not making enough for that. Like, I genuinely feel guilty when buying or eating food. Literally, all my money either goes to rent, food, car bill, utilities. I spend nothing on myself. I work my ass off to spend nothing on myself. And this is the situation for most Gen Z, for most people in their early 20s. It's actually insane.
That's not enough for you? Check out this bullshit.
I just got an eviction notice at my apartment. Yeah, you want to know how much it costs to live in my apartment? $1,800 a month. Yup, for a one-bedroom in Madison, Wisconsin. But needless to say, guess how much I make? Yep, guess. Get it off your chest. I guess you won't. There's no chance you'll get it. I make $7.25 an hour, the minimum wage. Yep, and it's fine. As a server, you usually rely on tips, and more times than not, I get tipped generously. But I'll tell you what, $1,800, that is 100% always more than half of my 2 combined paychecks for the month. That is right, more than half of my monthly reoccurring income goes to just paying off my rent. That's not even including my groceries, going out, electricity, all of those other things, okay? All those other expenses. That's absurd. What is wrong with Wisconsin prices? Why have they all of a sudden surged? The Midwest was supposed to be a place of peace, of stability. You could get a freaking house here for like under $200K. And now prices have gone through the roof. This is absurd. What is going on?
All of our money is going to corporations and not people. We could have free health care, but instead, corporations need to make a profit. Insurance companies and medical companies need to make a profit. Check this bullshit out. We got money for the war, but we can't feed the poor?
In 2025, United Healthcare pulled in $447 billion in revenue. You might see some clips today of doctors advocating for their patients because United Healthcare denied them basic things. I just want to remind all of you that in 2025, because Luigi happened in 2024, in 2025, $447 billion. They made that money. They made that. That was what they made. United Healthcare. I wonder if any of us got denied stuff because they made $447 billion last year. United.
So when I was in high school, I wrote a paper arguing that if politicians had to live on minimum wage for just 1 year, policy in America would change overnight. For context, when I was in high school, when I wrote this paper, I was literally working 2 jobs while going to school. I remember being exhausted all the time, trying to balance work, school, home, transportation, responsibilities. And there were actively grown adults in government arguing about whether or not kids like me deserved free lunch. And that stuck with me for years because I feel like it perfectly summarizes how disconnected some of these people are from real life. You have politicians that are making 6 figures arguing over whether or not struggling teenagers deserve to eat lunch at school. Not luxury, not vacations, not handouts, food. Because a lot of American legislation feels incredibly tone deaf. And I think part of the reason is because many of the people making these decisions have never experienced real financial struggle a day in their lives. A lot of them come from generational wealth, elite schools, family connections, old money, corporate backgrounds. Like, some of these people have literally never had to worry about their rent, never even rented, never had their electricity almost shut off, never skipped meals, never had to choose between groceries and gas, never experienced the exhaustion of living paycheck to paycheck. Yet they are the same people deciding minimum wage, healthcare access, housing policy, food assistance, student debt, maternity leave, and what poor people supposedly need to do better. And then people wonder why these policies feel so disconnected, because how can you properly solve a problem that you have never personally experienced? It's like me saying, oh, I've never struggled with addiction a day in my life, but I want to be in charge of the national addiction recovery programs. You can study something, you can read statistics, you can observe suffering from the outside, but lived experience matters. And I'm not saying that only poor people can be politicians, but I do think that there's something deeply broken about millionaires and career politicians lecturing the working class about budgeting and survival when they've never had to survive. I don't think it's only disconnect anymore either. They're also like extremely apathetic. Like, these politicians sit in positions where they could materially improve the lives of millions of Americans. They could help raise wages, expand healthcare access, regulate housing costs, strengthen worker protections, make childcare affordable, reduce poverty on a massive scale. But instead, they spend their careers protecting corporate interests, lobbying groups, PACs, and wealthy donors, because that's where the money is. And there's something deeply ironic about holding one of the most powerful positions in the country and using that power to primarily enrich yourself. They know that these people are struggling. They know that Americans can't afford rent. They know that there's people drowning in medical debt. They know that there is families working multiple jobs to survive. But as long as the stock portfolios go up and campaign donations keep coming in and the corporations stay happy, they do not care you are suffering. People talk about corruption like it's hidden in a dark room somewhere. It's just watching them consistently pass legislation that benefits massive corporations over everyday Americans. And the craziest part is that the corporations are not the majority. The average American's not a billionaire. The average American's not a CEO. We are statistically closer to homelessness than to becoming millionaires. Most of us are like one medical emergency, one layoff, one car accident, one missed paycheck away from a financial disaster. Yet the political system is constantly structured around protecting the wealth of people at the very top, while all of us absorb the consequences. Because if politicians had to actually live off minimum wage for a year, I think minimum wage would increase very quickly. I think healthcare reform would suddenly become urgent. I think that affordable housing would magically become a bipartisan issue. I think paid maternity leave would probably stop being too expensive. Because suddenly these wouldn't just be statistics on paper, they would be personal. Because that's what it is. They do not care about you. You are very different from them. They don't look at us as them. We're like a whole other species.